Hello! You said hello at the same time as me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another NikoTheLegend podcast. I lied. This hasn't been another because it's been like 7 months since I've done a podcast. But you know what? This is the perfect time of year to do one because at the end of the year, 2018 is coming, and Christmas has just ended. So many good things to recall and remember. And I would love to have this beautiful man, DaytonDoesGaming, on the show. It's not even a show, but you can catch DaytonDoesGaming on youtube.com/DaytonDoesGaming, right? And then you can catch him by his Twitter, which is twitter.com/DaytonDoes. And also, if you want to see him on YouPorn, you can go to youporn.com/DaytonDoes. Just kidding, he's not. So
youporn.com/redtube/X.
So welcome, DaytonDoesGaming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. What a pleasure to be here. Yes.
Yeah, yes, it's always a pleasure to have the wonderful man that plays many games, which our topic is going to be specifically designed about playing games this past year.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing we're going to be talking about is, well, the end of the year is almost over. 2018 is coming. We played so many games this year. So many great games have come out, so many bad games, so many whatever you want to call it. So Dayton and I are going to have some great discussions talking about great memories we had, kind of go do a recap on our gaming memories and experiences we've gone through this past year. So, and eventually we'll talk about how we're not wearing pants and we're in the same room, sitting on each other's lap. But this is all real time. So I'll go first. I'll list a few things that I've done this past year. There's so many big contenders that came out this year, especially that a brand new gaming console came out this year, which is the Nintendo Switch. Which that is a huge thing for gamers because gamers should be excited for new consoles that come out, and a lot of people, just from what I saw and just by sales, that they were very, very impressed with the Nintendo Switch. They took the plunge after how Nintendo was starting to take a decline in its just productivity and quality and sales and just innovation in general. So it was nice. It was nice to see that. I unfortunately did not get a Nintendo Switch the day it came out. I was stuck. Well, I wasn't stuck. I was playing Breath of the Wild, which the Switch and that game came out at the same time. So I had it for the Wii U. So I was enjoying that, and then, oh geez, I don't know. Like I just listed something great, which we'll talk about in a bit. But something dark and twisted came out later that month too. That really just made me, well, I guess it was, what is it called? A Deadly Beauty, because it was Mass Effect Andromeda, and because of Mass Effect Andromeda's failure to launch and design and quality, is the reason why I have 181 subscribers right now, because I've been doing a lot of informative shit about EA and BioWare and all that. But so those are just a couple that are probably stuck out the most to me this year that really meant a lot. But before we dive into that, Dayton, do you have anything to add? Anything that little thing?
Goods and bads, or
just a couple, so we can just do some rebounding here and there. Kind of
goods. There were many more good games than bad games this year. I had Tangle Deep, Dead Cells, Cuphead was around. Ruiner, I was super impressed by as well. Riptail, that's a really, really nice one. Nimbatus, which is kind of like reassembly. Forever Home, another like indie title RPG, which was way, way better than I expected it to be. There were also a couple of turds. We had Karma Incarnation 1 is like a video that I did. It was kind of like a point-and-click adventure, which I'm not really partial to point-and-click adventures anyways, so I guess that's kind of not completely fair to say. Illusoria, another like platforming game that just felt really clunky and had like an MS Paint feeling art style. It was like really shit. A Gummy's Life was early access title, and it kind of reminds me of Gang Beasts, but you play as like different forms of candy, and that is kind of not as polished as it should be. But I played it like before it was released to the public, and it's an early access, so there's still room for that to get better. We just got to keep an eye out. Vive le Roy is a stealth game that really it's like, hey, a stealth game about the French Revolution, and I said, oh, that sounds awesome, and then I played it, and it was just like a total piece of crap. Probably the worst game that I played this year. And then most recently, probably Debris is it's like a middling kind of walking/swimming simulator that it has an interesting story, and there's like a twist at the end, and they're like, this game was actually about mental health awareness, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Was this Shutter Island?
Yeah, I didn't feel that at all through the entire game until the end, and they're like, surprise! I'm like, oh.
Well,
now maybe I can play again and like look through for that specifically, but I probably won't do that because the game is just 3 hours of moving forward. Like, who cares?
That's kind of reminds me of Oxenfree, because that was free on GOG.com, and it's like well, I guess it's like a very, very easy game to play. But you do make a lot of choices in the game. It's like one of those. You have like think of it as like a Telltale's game. It's like the option comes up, and you have a certain time limit to pick a certain thing to say, and then it reflects the story reflects off of the choice you make. Very straightforward game, but it kind of reminds me of that, because it was like it's always forward progress.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
know. Debris also has 4 different endings depending on like how you react to certain situations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I can't be asked to go back and do all that shit. The one I got's the one I got. That's how I reacted.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Write it down. Live or let die. It's funny that like, I want to say from your perspective, like, you're in a completely different like world than I am when it comes to playing games, because a lot of the games that I see you play are indie games, indie titles, which are really, really big games to risk, to play, because like you said, like, they're not all going to be great. Like you said, Leroy, you were saying that, it's just crap nonetheless,
Yeah, I mean, I try and be constructive and like say what I didn't like about it and stuff, but yeah, it's always a gamble, and not just with the gameplay, sometimes I could play a shit game and then on YouTube it makes great views because I'm the only one that decided to play this piece of shit.
Yeah,
but some are like win-win. Like Tangle Deep sticks out in my mind because I put it up and like a week later it has 1,000 views,
Yeah.
That's because it's a great game, so people are looking it up.
Yeah, and like I say, indie games are a risk to play. That's how I, like, before I knew the facts about indie games, but like when they were first getting really big, like a few years ago, I used to be like, it's whatever, indie games. I'm just gonna stick with like AAA titles and stuff. But now, up to this day, many AAA titles are garbage and shit and lack quality, and that's why I listed Mass Effect Andromeda as one of those games that definitely did not live up to the hype, and it was a failure to launch. It was a buggy mess. Animations were terrible. Story was scattered. It was just like so many things were just like not put together well, and that's coming from some, me who loves Mass Effect franchise itself, because it's amazing. It's space opera of the millennia. You millennials better pay attention. And when I get excited for a game from my favorite developer, which is BioWare, it used to be BioWare. That's the key word I'm using now, which is sad to say. Playing a game like an Andromeda, it was just like in such dismay by all the political crap that went behind it, all the SJW stuff that was put into, all the equality, and it was just...
Well, that's what you're seeing a lot in the AAA industry, because if you don't subscribe to this political ideology and insert it at every turn, then you're blacklisted, basically.
Yeah, and
they're not going to work with you.
And it's like painfully obvious when you're putting in feminism or equality just to prove a point that it's there, then that's just an ugly approach to take. It's not a natural way of doing it. It's just like, haha, fuck you guys, look what we do. Yeah, we can do this because now we're not racist.
it cheapens not just the game experience, but also the overarching point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
like
yeah.
Egalitarianism is a good thing. However, if you're just inserting it for the sake of inserting it, then you're losing the point. You're diminishing the power of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, also you're insulting the people that want equality and all that, because you're just putting it in there just to be like, you know, you're kind of like a poser. You're just being fake, like a wannabe, but you're not. In reality, you're just, you know, you really don't want to put it in that type of approach, but you know, it's what makes money, and whatever, who fuck cares? Because like EA and Activision are perfect examples. So Mass Effect Andromeda was one of those, and this is kind of like not what we're entirely talking about, because it's like lists of games that we played, but Call of Duty World War II is a perfect example of, you know, getting history wrong just because you don't want to piss off, you know, social justice warriors or feminists or whatever. But at the same time, when you put that stuff in, when you put a black guy in a game who's just that one black guy and there's no other black guys in it, then it's like painfully apparent. And then you put black Nazis in it who, you know, historically, if you want to be historically accurate, that wasn't really going on during the time the game takes place. It was just like everything was just wrong. So when you have stuff like that, it's just, and when you're just putting like a female character or a black character in there just to be like, hey, I can do this, it's just a disgusting game, you know. And then if your game itself sucks ass, then you just look really stupid, in which that game is a suck ass game. No one should ever buy it.
I don't know nothing about that. I've dropped out of the AAA scene long ago, probably before I even got started, as a matter of fact. I mean,
right.
First game I ever owned on Steam was Audio Surf, and then it was followed by Killing Floor, and you know, they're not really AAA titles. I've never really been big into AAA. One, because the price barrier is just too fucking high for me. I'd much rather pay $20 for a good game than $60 for a good game.
Yeah, and the
$20 game, Stardew Valley, which I think isn't even 20.
It might be 15.
Play for hundreds of hours in Stardew Valley, and then if you pay $60 for Wolfenstein or even the new Doom, you know, you're going to be done with it in less than 12 hours, which the math doesn't work out to me. It never did. So
yeah, and that's it's funny. It's like those companies release those big titles at $60, and then like a few months later they're like $30, and it's like, oh, come on, guys, it's just kind of messed up. So buying games at day release, if you know a company very well, and you know, I mean, you could just from what you see in the videos and gameplay videos, like sometimes you get a good idea the game is going to be good because the company's been on a roll. Or it just has elements in it that just like, you know, grabs you. Doom was one of those games. I bought Doom on the Xbox One. See, the goddamn title's getting me confused.
Backwards compatible.
Yeah, and it came out last year, and it was a fantastic game. I spent the $60, and it was so fantastic that when I got my PC built and everything, I bought it again this year because. Guess what? By this point, it was like dirt cheap. I got it for like $10 to $15, and it came with everything. And it just astonishes me that companies, AAA companies, will do that. Mass Effect Andromeda is like $15 right now, or $20. It's just unbelievable. And if you're paying $60 for that game, then you're doing something wrong. Now, I mentioned Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a game to where I feel like $60 has done justice for it, despite it having some frame rate issues, because, you know, it's the Wii U, and, you know, it's a big game, and Zelda's never really gone the open world like a Skyrim or Elder Scrolls type approach, or a Witcher, and it paid off for them. Luckily, you know, they did a good job despite all the delays, and then I felt like I was playing like a real solid game, because it had the main important thing of a game that makes it so great is challenge. If a game doesn't have challenge, then there's no reason to come back to reap the rewards, you know? That's why so many people like Dark Souls, you know, because it reminds them of like old olden days of playing on the first Nintendo of how difficult those games were. And there was like, one life, you die here, you get a game over, you gotta start all over. It's like arcade style. And that's why a lot of people like Dark Souls, because it's like exactly like that. It's just as difficult. But with Breath of the Wild, it just had everything it needed for it to be a complete AAA game. Besides the challenge, a good way to keep gamers really addicted to your game is to just always be surprised by just everything that happens in the game. I was always surprised playing that game on people to talk to, quests, items I got. I was like, I never knew what was going to happen next. And I think that's when you know you have something golden. And then the game gets like Game of the Year like 6,000 times. It's like 98 on Metacritic. So, user reviews are really good. Metacritic can just be kind of like a phony thing if you're just going by critic reviews.
People, when I was giving numbers to my reviews, which I stopped doing because I think it's much more telling to just give your impression rather than trying to stick a number on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would come to me and be like, oh, this game got an 80 on Metacritic, so it should be higher. You gave it only a 65 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not Metacritic. What the fuck?
And that's why, actually it happened, I think it happened this year with Bethesda, I think, or some game company. They gave IGN a game to review, and they reviewed it really poorly. And they basically, after that review, they like canceled ties with IGN. Or I think it was IGN. I can't remember exact.
Kotaku.
It was
Kotaku leaked something that they weren't supposed to leak, if I remember correctly. I vaguely remember.
Well, I remember it was a review for a game, and it was piss poor, and then that gaming company just cut ties with it, and they're like, okay, no more. So especially these days, like IGN and GameSpot, their reviews are like so mundane and like watered down compared to what they used to be. Like IGN during like the 2000s, there would be pages and pages of information about the game. Like they would put so much time into it, and then they're like their reasons for why they gave this certain number, like gameplay, music, and lasting appeal and all this stuff. They would provide like a tiny little paragraph, of why they did that. Now it's just like so surmised and dubbed down. It's just like, here's the score, it's good, I didn't like this is okay. It's just like it muddles the game down in its quality. It's like, well, I guess it's just like, it's like you're doing a YouTube video, you're just trying to get the point across real fast, and then that's it. But if you're writing a review for something, I don't know, they should be a little more in-depth, because it's important. But that's why you have the internet, so you can not go to shitty IGN or GameSpot and look up actual good reviews, like Dayton Does Gaming. There you go.
Dayton Does Gaming. Sometimes we'll sit down and do a game for 10 minutes if I really hate it and don't have that much to say, because I don't want to rip on a game for 40 minutes.
No.
But some of my reviews get really, really long, like War Sim. It's like a text-based game that came out this year, and I'm really partial to text-based games. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I just, me, the indie title guy. So I really enjoyed War Sim. My review for it was almost 50 minutes because I'm trying to like really just show how deep it is. There's so many fucking features to that game, which some games reviews that websites don't do justice for the game itself. And that's when you take the risk on playing a game. You buy it, it's, like I said, high risk, high reward. Hopefully you find a good game and you play it, like Breath of the Wild for me, and then you for Ruiner, even though you didn't buy Ruiner, but you know what I mean. Tangle Deep. And there was a bunch of other games that was the same way for me. Like Elix is a perfect example of a game that was being tarnished by critics and user reviews on, like, especially Metacritic. But when you go on Steam reviews for Elix, it's mostly positive. And that's when you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? But me personally, I was keeping up with the game for the most part, and it looked interesting. It had an interesting concept. It had like old school role-playing mechanics. It's a hard game. It's brutal,
It doesn't hold your hand like Dark Souls and like old games used to do, like Baldur's Gate. Like those isometric type role-playing games, Baldur's Gate. And despite its jank, you know, there was charm to it. There was a world to it, you know, and the quests and the dialogue and all that stuff was there. The content was there. It was great. So yeah, Elix was one of those games, like I said, was a big risk, and it paid off for me. I beat it, although it took me about a month and a half to beat it because I was playing this other game called Battle Chasers, which is another. Well, Elix isn't a AAA title, and Battle Chasers is not as well. So those were two games I was kind of taking a risk on. But as I saw the concept, you know, like when you're watching game videos or something, it's like as soon as something like touches you in a certain way, not in a good way, you know, down your pants, but you know, it catches your eye, and it's almost like a siren song, you know, and it's kind of impulsive, and you're like, I must try it. And then you pray that it works in your favor. Luckily for me, Battle Chasers and Elix were those examples. And yeah, I mean, would I play those games again? Yeah, I would play them again, despite the jank or the repetitive grinding and stuff. You know, that's fine. I mean, that's just part of the charm, right? I mean,
sometimes
just
if
look at
that's what you're into. But
yeah.
I mean, you can't. This is why I don't really get critic reviews and stuff like that. You know, everybody's tastes are different. So you go to IGN, or don't go to IGN. You go to a review website and you expect to be told whether you should like this game or not, but the answer is completely fucking subjective, you know, because if you don't like retro games, if you don't like grinding, if you don't like RPGs, if you don't like whatever, then you're not going to be into whatever I'm into, and you'll probably buy the game based on my recommendation and be like, hey, this is a piece of shit. So it's, always take it with a grain of salt, you know. Some people take Metacritic as like the be-all, end-all, but I think Metacritic is somewhat of a good aggregator of like, you know, how it can spread to different people, you know what I mean? Different tastes, how well it absorbs different people with different tastes. But you got to find somebody who aligns with you on your taste in games if you're really gonna listen to their opinion and take it to heart. I mean, I don't let people tell me whether or not to buy a game. You know, if it looks good to me, then I'll buy it, and if the price is right. I'm very cheap when it comes to games, you know.
There's so many games that come out nowadays. It's like just so many games come out every single day, so it's really hard to pick and choose what game you're gonna really want. So it's fine if you want to go online and find a reference or a good like guideline. That's okay, but you know, just take it with a grain of salt. You know, find those first impression type stuff. You gotta find the right people, and you know, so you don't get fake news. Fake reviews or something.
It's out there for real.
Paid reviews, and that's speaking of all games that come out every day. Like I went on this marathon mode, which is part of the great gaming moments I had this year, which almost sounds like a nightmare. It could almost be considered a bad thing, but I had all these games that were just I played for a while, and then I stopped. And then because other games came out, I felt for the sales pitch, and I bought these games, and then I would, the other games that I was playing before, they would just sit there collecting digital dust.
The backlog gets hungry, dude. I feel you on that one.
And I was like, you know what? It's like there's not really any big games that I'm super stoked to play. I'm gonna go back and start playing the games that I left behind. And then all of a sudden I went on this completion journey of all these games. I finally beat Elix. I finally beat Battle Chasers. I beat Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I beat Mega Man 4 through 7. I beat Oxenfree. I beat Dot Hack. Beat Rise of the Tomb Raider. But about 90% of the games I just listed are games that I kind of just let, I should have beaten them long ago. And I'm just like, man. But so many.
I mean, how much time do you really have in the day? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got Witcher 3 sitting in my backlog, and I'm like, I really want to play that soon. But I know as soon as I start, it's gonna be fucking 80 hours later. You know, a month later, and I've got a YouTube channel. I've got fucking a child coming. You know, a wife to take care of. There's so much other shit that's going on that it's really hard to find the time, you know.
And that's where the $60 selling point for games really plays a role, because it's like, well, I have all this upcoming responsibilities and the ones I have now. Do I really want to spend the $60 when I know I'm gonna fucking need it, you know?
That's why it's such an easy choice for me. It's like, okay, I want to buy the new Far Cry. Was it Far Cry 5?
Yes.
I really want it. You know what I mean? And I have the money right now, and I could totally do it. But it's like, do I want Far Cry 5, and then I'll see it drop to $30 in a couple months and be really sad about it?
Yeah.
Or I could just wait those couple months, wait for it to drop price, and spend the $60 or whatever I have now on like 2 weeks worth of groceries. Yeah. Which is probably the smarter option. You know?
Yeah.
People here gotta eat.
You have to know a company like really well and follow their like track history. Fucking Ubisoft and EA are like perfect examples of game companies that like drop game price like a snap of a finger. Far Cry 5 is going to be as cheap as Far Cry 3 in about a year, because they're just like, okay, let's just like Assassin's Creed, let's get ready to release another one. Like Far Cry 4 or Primal, I think Primal is like, well, I know you can get way cheaper than what's listed on the website for Ubisoft. It's like, it's always on sale, like half off.
I waited. I really wanted Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal when they came out, but I waited and bought them during the like Thanksgiving sale.
Yeah.
And now I have them, and I spent fucking less than $20 for both of them. So it's like,
and that's when, you know, you've done your homework a little bit, and then you realize, you know, it's okay. Because if you spend, here's another issue that it can be. If you're spending $60 on a game, you might be really obligated to just solely play that game, which is fine. But this depends on what kind of gamer you are. If you're gonna spend $60 on a game, I would hope you would spend the most time in it, right? Because, you know, it's a big chunk out of your wallet. Now, if you're spending like $30 or $20, then it's like, okay, it's a $20 game. It's not a complete waste of my time, or it's okay if it, you know, goes idle for a bit, and it doesn't just.
Yeah, I think I spent $10 on Witcher 3, and that's why I'm not like jumping to play it.
Because $10 for like 80 plus hours. Actually, I'm gonna say 100 plus hours, because that game will drive you crazy.
Eat my soul.
Yeah, it will eat your soul. But that's okay, because like, it's fucking $10. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome.
Less than a movie ticket.
Oh, God, yeah, don't remind me. And that's why with Elix, it was $40, listed $40, which I'm glad. There's no way in fucking hell I would have spent $60 in that game. Battle Chasers was $30, but I got it for $22 because it was like there was like a pre-sale for it on Green Man Gaming. Dayton Does Gaming meets Green Man Gaming, and
we're friends.
If I spent
DMG and GOG worked with IGB, which, you know, I used to work for, so I know those good boys over at Green Man. I know those good boys over at Good Old Games. Those good old boys.
Yeah.
So I got some connections.
Yeah, when you look for that sale, or you wait patiently, and you know, like, yeah, I think I will enjoy it for what this price is, and that's when you get the best memories from. Like, just YOLO, no regrets, carpe diem with your game. It's just such a blast to, especially this past year for me, just enjoy those games I bought this year, and just, besides Andromeda. Well, Andromeda was good in some aspects, but it was a jumbled mess. It was like The Last Jedi. It was just, what was it called? Damn it. Rich Evans said a really good adjective for it. Anyway, it just has this type of entertainment that you really like, and it's the only thing that really kept you going. Everything else was pretty much trash, and that's how I felt Andromeda was, because I spent over 100 hours in it. I say that like so casually, 100 hours in a
It's
fucking
been 100 hours.
100 hours in a game back in the day was like mind blowing. The only other 100-hour game I've ever played was Oblivion. That was my first one. That was like 106 hours because I did everything.
Well, back in the day, you had extremely difficult games with not a whole lot of content, but the content was difficult to get through because of how hard the game was.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's just so much fucking content in the game that how can you do that? Let's see. I've got 91 hours on Terraria and Civilization, 112 hours in Killing Floor 2.
Oh, I love it.
126 hours in New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas, 142 hours in Project Zomboid, 144 in Oblivion, 164 in Grand Theft Auto 5, 335 hours in Rust, 688 hours in Left 4 Dead 2,
oh my God,
and 742 hours in Awesome Gods.
That's freaking amazing. And like, what about this year? I know you listed a bunch of games, but like, what was the game that? I guess I'm like kind of streamlining you a bit or railroading. What was like a good game that really stuck out to you, and what was a bad game that stuck out to you? I know you listed a few of them, but just
I had a huge list of them.
Two that hit your mind the most this year.
The really bad game that stuck out to me is probably Darwin Project. I did a stream on it. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, but I know how triggered you were.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the fucking year of like
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. I was gonna say MOBA, but that was last year. Yeah, this has been totally Battle Royale year, and there've been a lot of good Battle Royale games. You know, Fortnite comes to the front of my mind as like the best one that's kind of taking the cake right now, and it's free to play. So I don't know how fucking PUBG is staying alive at all.
Streamers,
but yeah, I mean. That's fine, I guess, if you're into that. But Fortnite is superior in so many ways.
I think it is too, yeah.
Below all of those, you have Darwin Project, who kind of took the cartoony style of Fortnite, but also it has. I mean, the difference between all other Battle Royale games and Darwin Project is the amount of crafting that has to be done in Darwin Project. So. Okay, I need to craft a leather coat or whatever to keep the cold away from me so I don't die from the cold. So you collect leather from a chair and you collect trees, and then a little bit later a player can come by and like track you based on you opening chests or stripping leather from chairs or cutting down a tree. And you can't really tell where the player that's tracking you is going to come from. It just makes the game really difficult. I mean,
it sounds cool on paper.
It just doesn't feel that fleshed out. I mean,
is it still early
if everything
access?
Oh yeah, it's way early. It was like open alpha kind of thing.
Oh shit, yeah, that'll make sense.
It doesn't really feel balanced at the moment. But yeah, I'm not saying that it couldn't ever be good. Like another shitty game like that is Ylands. You know what I mean? David got me that for Christmas, and I hold some hope for it still. You know, because it's still early access right now. It does totally feel like a piece of shit though. You can't even really manage your inventory. I'm like, how do I even drag this onto the hotbar? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah.
So that's two piles of shit. For the good ones, I have Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 2 has absorbed my soul this year. Obviously, 112 hours in just a year is
good.
Really impressive for a game. And it also has appealed to my wife and even my 6-year-old daughter. She's like, I want to play Killing Floor. I'm like, what the fuck? There's too much blood in that game. Go away.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to play that.
Well, another game that I noticed you playing a heck of a lot is Rainbow Six Siege as well.
Oh god. I mean, that was gonna be on the list. I was trying to stick to titles that were like coming out this year.
Right. But it's okay if it doesn't have to be a game that came out. Just like really big experiences that really made you feel special this year, you know. And from what I saw,
definitely
Rainbow
Six.
Yeah,
and also Squad is surprisingly good as far as like the community goes, because you know usually if you're gonna play a first-person shooter game, the community's gonna be toxic, and you're just gonna have to deal with assholes, and that's how it is. But in squad, everybody's relatively chill. Like, sometimes you'll have people yelling, like your squad leader yells at you to get in the truck faster or something like that, but that's because they want to beat the other players to the objective, which I get. But then you screw up, you know? You don't call out that you see enemies on the ridge and a couple of your dudes get sniped, and then your squad leader's just kind of like, well, that shit happens. I should have seen it too. I'm the guy with binoculars or whatever.
Right. So, yeah.
It reminds me of Rainbow Six Siege in that you're really squad-based. Yeah, you need to have a ton of teamwork in order to get through squad or Rainbow Six Siege. But the difference is the size, you know? Rainbow Six Siege is in a building. Squad is like fucking hundreds of, like, the maps are just huge. So it's really hard to keep tabs on.
Yes, Siege is slowly, it's working its way into being like a really fun time for me. Like, I really do enjoy it.
It's fucking amazing.
I mean, I got it this year, and I love, you know, I mean, this is like every game. Every experience is going to be different, but I just love how it's so vastly different in Siege every time. Like, you're never going to go through the same door once or the same window, you know? I don't know. It's just like, it's just a game done right, basically, with its gameplay. Like, it's like Counter-Strike on steroids to me, and I love Counter-Strike. But Siege is like slowly climbing to the top of my favorite games to play, especially this year. That's thanks to you too.
You're welcome. I'm glad I have somebody to play it with now. That's really fun.
And then you got David too. So we, you know, all three of us were playing. It was really fun. And like David's like, you know, I haven't played a match in this game in like forever, and I was the same way. And then he gets like 2 kills the first round with a shotgun. And I was like, man, that's so fucking cool. Like, it's like some really satisfying thing in Siege, getting a kill. You know, when I play, okay, I like, I'll do a comparison, compare and contrast. In PUBG, Players Unknown Battleground, stupid ass title.
That's
100 players, huge environment. You know, it was one map for a while. Now it's 2. The game has been in fucking early access for the entire year, and it's got 1.0 release. It's still jank, still shit in a lot of aspects, and the gameplay, you know, it's okay. Now, I played that game over 100 hours, which is really nothing compared to what other people have played. It's probably over the like thousands, you know. For
I don't even have one game I've put 1,000 hours into.
Yeah, so
Awesome Nuts almost though.
The comparison I'm trying to make is when you get a kill in PUBG, after you go through this land, you bombard houses, you get weapons and all that. It's just like a constant stress. It's like you need a constant fucking stress ball with you, because that game is so stressful that when eventually a person comes your way, I don't know if this is just based on my personality, it's almost like you're gonna fucking crash in a train or something, like have a train wreck. They're like, you get like this crazy like adrenaline rush, which is fine because, you know, it shows that you're getting really into it, but it's like too much of an adrenaline rush to where you're too shaky. And when you get a kill, it's like, it's like, I don't mean to clip the mic. It's like too much, and you feel like you have to take a shower afterwards. Now, when I play Siege, when I get a kill in Siege, leading up to the kill or to a fight in Siege, it's like awesome. Like, it's so awesome. And I know it's
tense, but it's also like a calm, quiet sort of tense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a different scenario. I get that. Battle Royale versus squad-based shooter. But still, they're both very, very competitive games and shooters at heart.
Oh, yeah.
Siege, when that momentum builds up and I get that one moment where it's really going to matter if you choke or, you know, and you get that kill, when I get a kill in Siege, I feel so good. I feel so freaking good because I'm like, because you have to be really smart in that game. You can't be an idiot. Although sometimes I do go like, hey, Dayton, watch this. I'm going to rush in and get 2 kills. And sometimes that works, but sometimes I'll also do that and I'll get killed right away. So
yeah, most of the time people are watching the corner or something. Throw your drone in there first. That's my secret. Drone it out first.
So it's just like I feel so good about it. And like David said it too. Him and I recently played a PUBG match together on the new desert map, and we spent like 30 fucking minutes trying to get 1 kill in the game. I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time for that. And that's because of all the responsibilities that I have. But, you know, it's like I feel bad when I spend that much time in one match for a game. Like, this is wasting my fucking time. And then you just get blah blah. You just die right away. And that's what happened to us. We died at our first encounter after 30 minutes of looking for somebody. Like, it was ridiculous. And then David and I were like, fuck
that's
this.
One of the points that Waldar made when I was playing Darwin Project. He's like, this is just the collectathon, and then you just die at the end. You know, like the same with Fortnite. I love Fortnite as a game, but yeah, you just go around and collect some random shit, and you're basically collecting it so the person that kills you can have it.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's a really high risk, high reward game, but it just takes up too much time. It's just too time consuming. It's not meant for my type of play style. I mean, I'm a competitive shooter, but I also like some casual aspects to it. PUBG isn't really casual based because it's like the hills have eyes per se. You're always being watched, it feels like. But in Rainbow Six Siege, after we got done with that match, David and I for PUBG, we were like, let's fuck this game. Let's go. Also, we were dealing with like still bugs that are bugs that are still in the game and shit, and it just made us just like put a stale taste in our mouth. I'm like, LOL, 1.0 release, LOL. So we're like, fuck this. We're gonna go play Rainbow Six. And David was a little more frustrated than me. And guess what? Our first match, he gets like fucking 6 kills and MVP. I'm just like, whoa. Like, it didn't have to take 30 minutes to get that. It took maybe like 10 or 15
Yeah,
times.
I mean, each, I think in casual, each round is like 4 minutes max, you know, and usually it's over in less than 2 if you're really pushing hard, you know, or the other team's pushing hard. And, so, best of 3, the maximum you can play is 5 rounds. So, yeah, you're looking at a maximum of 20 minutes, and you get your MVP or whatever.
And
get your final tally.
The challenge in Rainbow Six Siege, I feel like, is just way more efficient and satisfying than Players Unknown Battleground. You get
efficient is a good word.
I've gotten 3, maybe 4 chicken dinners in PUBG, and I just feel like a rape victim, like no joke, and I want to take a shower. That's how I feel. But if it's like a game like Siege or something, and we do good, we win the match, it's like, hooray, yeah, band of brothers, we did it. Like, how excited I get. It's great. Even if we get like 2 kills or something, like, yes, we won the fucking match.
The team is what matters. It's not about MVP or where you placed or anything like that, because even if you're just spotting on cameras and telling people, okay, he's in the stairwell, that can make the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not all about who killed the most dudes. Yeah. Except when I do it, then it's all about who killed the most dudes.
Well, it doesn't help that Players Unknown Battleground reward system is just complete shit. There's really nothing. There's nothing. Rainbow Six Siege, like, first of all, I bought Rainbow Six Siege for like $20 due to a discount, but I don't even feel like my money has been, it's been justified. But I spent $15 on the starter edition for Rainbow Six Siege. It's okay if I don't have all the operators, and getting money or renown points or whatever you want to call it takes a lot longer because of the starter edition. I still get some operators, and I still have a goddamn good time. I still get the full experience. There's no Jake. God damn it.
It's amazing. And then when you get enough to unlock a new operator, like, I've unlocked all but 4. It takes me about a week of like very heavy play in order to unlock a new operator. So if you're playing casually, maybe about a month, Yeah. But then in that month, you're given time to learn the new operator and like really how they function, because all the weapons and shit that they have are completely different. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's like the Korean operators, and yes, they've got a shotgun, but the shotgun shoots slugs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now you're fucking sniping people with the shotgun. It's like, it's insane. I'm really pleased with how the game is developing.
Yeah, and it's been out for like 2 years now, or 3 years now, actually. Mm-hmm. It's doing really great. jeez, like I like.
And I'll also say this, Ubi. As much as people like to, shit on AAA companies, Ubi's one of my favorites. Not just for the Far Cry series, but
I think
I got locked out of my Uplay account one time, and too many password attempts, blah blah blah. You can't log in, and so I'm like, okay, reset my password. Wasn't getting the email. I ended up just DMing Ubi support on Twitter. And they had my solution, reset my password in like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And for that kind of service from a AAA company, holy shit, take my money. That's fine,
Yeah. EA, I had to wait like an hour, and I just didn't want to anymore because I wanted to change my username because it's just my first and last name. Really fucking, because they want you to answer a security question to access your account information. Basic info. And it's like, what's the name of your favorite pet? And I put everything I thought would be the right one, and I never got it. So I know what you mean by customer service. Like, I hate EA with a passion. I think it's a garbage-ass company anyway. So it just goes, what goes around comes around. I want to say, before, finishing off the podcast, I want to say my favorite... I mean, I already listed it. My favorite game for 2017 is going to be Breath of the Wild, Zelda, because that's a game to where I pick it up and I never want to put down. And games used to do that for us growing up, like all the time. They would like touch our hearts in a certain way and touch our peepees too. Like we were just like erectile the whole time. And that's how I felt with like Ocarina of Time when that first came out. That was a mind-blowing game for a 6-year-old or 7-year-old to play,
Yeah, Super Mario 64 and Super Smash Brothers.
These games were just like so iconic. They were like so brand new. Like first 3D Mario, first 3D Zelda. Like they reinvented the wheel. And I felt like they did it with Breath of the Wild because it's the first time it ever went open world. And holy fucking shit, the way they did it was perfect. Every little thing you do in that game, it's like it matters. It matters. And there's just so much great challenge in it. And it just, like I said, it just brought me back to the old days of playing, games as a kid. And it's, Ocarina of Time was like my favorite Zelda game, but Breath of the Wild has definitely taken the crown. Now, if I was gonna have like top 5 favorite games, I think Ocarina of Time would still be up there, just because of nostalgia and childhood memories. A little biased on that. And I played Ocarina of Time like so many goddamn times, it's ridiculous. But still, Breath of the Wild this year, like I tip my fedora to it, or my Santa hat. Now, most disappointing game, I'm going to say Andromeda, because Andromeda was literally the complete opposite on success for against Breath of the Wild. It was crazy how... It boggles my mind how Zelda's story is about, Zelda, save Zelda, kill Ganon, but it's such a simple story, right? Just like Mario with the Princess Peach and Bowser, but just the way it's executed is what matters. Now, that's Nintendo, right? That's just their formula. They'll never change it, and somehow they'll just do great every time. They're just fucking geniuses. But when you get to like EA with Mass Effect Andromeda, they try to put so much story into it, so much content, so much dialogue, so much complexity, and they fucking failed so hard. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, how does a company, BioWare, that are like used to be RPG masterminds, RPG kings, lose to a AAA game from Nintendo, who's just getting out of the shithole, which is the Wii U, make a game that has very like different story and very simple story? How does it lose to that? It's just crazy. It's just fucking crazy how that happens.
Sometimes a simple story is better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mario is about as fucking bare bones as it gets. Zelda has like more story to it. You meet
it's got
people,
more
you're
lore,
doing stuff.
Yeah. Talk to people and all that.
Yeah, with Mario, it's basic as it gets.
Yeah, it's platforming.
Sometimes I think Sometimes I think that's what people want, is just something simple, A fucking 6-year-old can wrap their head around it. I'll sit my daughter down to play Super Mario World anytime, That's
one of my favorite fucking games I've ever played. Anyway, yeah, that's definitely it's exactly it. when I got David and his girlfriend Kaylee the Switch, Odyssey, I got him a Nintendo Odyssey, the Mario Odyssey. He beat the game already in like 2 days because you just don't want to put it down because it's so freaking fun, and it's like, oh, it's another 3D Mario game, but it's like, whoa, how does it invent this new shit in it, add these new mechanics? And it's more of a little bit of an open world type Mario. It's like, it's almost like Mario 64, just bigger, just a little bit bigger, you know, more places to run around and all that.
Yeah.
And just like, it's just amazing. Nintendo Switch, yeah, that's a company finally getting their fucking, just, you know, their head.
Switch has been killing it this year. I mean, I dropped out of consoles, you know what I mean? GameCube is the last console that I've actually kept and continued playing, and then I did have a Wii briefly, and I had a PlayStation, 3, I guess?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then I sold them both because there's just not a whole lot I wanted to play. I enjoyed Little Big Planet, and that's about it, you know? And there's no reason to keep the system for one fucking game.
Yeah, there was really
So I switched over to the PC forever, and then now that I'm seeing all this good shit coming out for the Switch, I'm like, maybe I go back to consoles. Like, couldn't hurt, right? Gotta play it a little bit.
Yeah, no, the Switch is definitely coming up there. I don't even care about playing the Xbox One anymore because it's, I don't know. For me as a gamer, it really failed to appease my sense of pleasure and entertainment. Now, obviously, I've bought so many games for it, and I played, I've had so many hours on it. But when you have to release 2 more consoles from the same line just to get that 60 frames, I'm sorry, I'm not fucking spending that much money. I'm like, I'm just going to get a PC, which I did. And I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about this enhanced version or upscale to 4K or whatever. Like, oh, play Gears of War in 4K now. Play Halo 5 in 4K. Guess what? I don't need to do that because all these games are coming out on PC. If you can play in 4K, you can play in 4K. Whatever. You got a monitor? That's all you need. You don't need a fucking brand new console. Or I mean, although, you know, I'll admit you do need the parts to, you know, be able to run 4K. But you don't have to have 3 goddamn consoles coming out just to barely get 60 frames per second. Oh my god! Like, the PC's been doing 60 frames since like it came out.
Forever, yeah.
I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And when I hear from developers saying that it's easier to develop for PC and it's really hard nowadays to develop for, it's really hard nowadays to develop for these consoles, because for some fucking reason they have to make it's so much more complicated, you know, so much more complicated with all the money they have. The way the developer kits are set up, it's just too hard. So they can't get the quality game they want to release. You know, Super Nintendo and PlayStation 2, they just release games left and right because it wouldn't, you know, they would spend a lot of time in it, but it just seemed like they were always releasing like sequels that were, you know, trilogies and good quality games with gameplay, you know. It's just like one after another, and you're like, yeah, this is great. All these games are great. Yeah, this is fucking awesome. Please keep releasing them.
I mean, people are willing to wait, you know.
Yeah,
as long as the game is good. Duke Nukem. That's the memeiest game that I can think of. Everybody's waiting like over a decade for a new Duke Nukem game, and then it came out, and it's a piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
What the fuck happened, guys?
That's just development hell. And Doom, people were waiting so long for it since Doom 3. And it came out. And it came
delicious.
Out, and it was a delicious game. It was fantastic, and it was. That's how you do it. So before we go, what was a game that? Wait, did we mention a game that's? I think you mentioned games that really sucked for you this year. We talked about it. But what's a game that really, really made you feel special this year?
It's gonna be so stereotypical to say, but I guess I want to say Dead Cells. But even more than Dead Cells, I think Cuphead was probably the best gaming experience that I had this year. It was really blown out of proportion for a bunch of reasons that
it was fake.
Kind of funny.
Fake news. Like, it was like a Trump game. Like if Donald Trump was a game, this would have been it.
That's exactly what it is. But I mean, stepping back from all the political bullshit surrounding it, it just was really a fun title.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, it challenged me, but not to the point of like teeth gritting frustration. I think you know, I didn't edit anything out when I did the series for my channel, and the playlist totals out at like around 8 hours, something like that. So
yeah,
it's a short game, but it'll tweak your nips if your nips need tweaking. You know, like
it'll definitely put little try-hard kids to shame, because you know that is a game that is definitely based on a design from like the olden days, like Super Nintendo or the original Nintendo, and how difficult they are.
Yeah, and completing it just gave me this sense of euphoria, like I haven't felt in a long time. Like I finally beat the devil, and I was just like, partially euphoric and partially really, really sad because it was really over. But I can go back to it and play it slightly differently, different guns and stuff like that. Not using the smoke dash, which is really what got me through most of the game, I think.
Yeah, just people complain about how hard a game is when it's not a stupid hard game. It's an intelligently hard game.
It's fair.
It was designed.
It's extremely
It is fair. And those are people that don't like Dark Souls, that don't like Cuphead. They definitely never played an original Nintendo game, because you know, if you're playing fucking Super Ghouls and Goblins or Contra, you die in like 1 or 2 hits, and then you have and 3 lives, and then that's it, and you have to start all over. So how can people in those days really fucking enjoy those games? And then that was the generation, right? It was the bar was so high in difficulty, and then obviously it went down as soon as like 360 and PS3 came out. And then Cuphead comes out, a game that no one knew it was going to be that fucking hard. No one knew. They just got an idea from what they saw. And then when they came out, you know, people were just like so blown away about it. They had to write bullshit for it. When someone has to write bullshit about a game being too hard, then that's when you know you got something special.
I mean, yeah, especially nowadays. I don't like Dark Souls just because it's like too edgy and dark, and I can get into medieval stuff and wizardry, but Dark Souls was just a little bit, you know, I like a happier game, something with some color to it. That's why Hotline Miami was dark too, but it was so colorful, you know?
Yeah.
Neon fluorescent with the darkness.
You were like ecstasy mode in Dark Souls, not Dark Souls, and Hotline Miami. It's literally like an ecstasy trip.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And then the only game since then that has really pounded my balls as hard has been Cuphead. So I do appreciate Cuphead, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding it, which I don't think is really that deserved. I think people just need something to be upset about.
Oh, because, you know, that's just what the generation of people are these days. You know, little pussies, little wusses that don't appreciate a good challenge.
I'm glad I don't have to exist with these people. I'm 30. I'm way far away from these people. I'm just like, you're all young little shits.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
I'm like, yeah, you guys don't even know what the fuck Pac-Man did to me back in the day. Holy shit. God damn. Yeah, they should play Journey to Silius, and then they'll want to kill themselves. Or Contra. You know. Just any old game. If they really want to bitch about a game, I'm like, okay, if you're going to bitch about Cuphead, why don't you play the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game? And then you can realize what the fuck hard fucking difficulty is.
Jesus. Don't play Battletoads.
Oh my god, yes. Now, that Battletoads is stupid hard, though. It's really stupid hard.
Yes. You're not gonna complete it. I've still not completed Battletoads.
No.
I still not completed Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Nope.
You know?
Same. Yep. It's
hard.
Battletoads.
I try twice a year for Super Ghouls and Ghosts, but it's not gonna happen.
That would be a really fun game for you to record and watch, though. To see you fail. Anyway, Battletoads. I always get stuck on like the hovercraft part, especially with 2 players. This is fucking impossible.
You gotta memorize where the fucking blocks are gonna come from.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get through this.
It's so fast and hard, like never mind. So I think, anyways, folks, I think that'll be it for today. For tonight. Today is New Year's Day, so
Happy New Year.
I hope that you guys have a great New Year. Dayton Does Gaming, thank you so much for being on the show and expressing your greatest and worst cherished memories of 2017.
Anytime at all.
Before we go, is there any game you're looking forward to next year that you want to let the world know that you're excited to maybe play?
I'm really looking forward to Far Cry 5.
All right, Far Cry 5.
I love Far Cry series.
All right.
It really makes me hot. And Chasm. I have Chasm like an early release copy, but they still are working on stuff. So I'm excited to see a full release for that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'd say Far Cry 5 for me, and then Hunt Showdown. Can't forget that game.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even shit on Evolve. Evolve died this year. But okay, that's not.
It died.
Fuck 2K. They're
died.
the only publisher that's worse than EA.
Oh
2K.
God, yeah.
Fuck them.
2K Sports. So yeah, Far Cry 5. I'm really excited for Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, Monster Hunter World, and yeah. Jeez, what was one? I already forgot. What was one of the ones you said?
I said Far Cry 5. I said Chasm, which is like kind of a Metroidvania,
right?
Procedurally generated platformer.
Was there another one
sick.
You said?
That was the two that I could recall.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
Maybe if I said something. I think I said two though.
So yeah, those are the games that I'm excited for next year. It's gonna be awesome. Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. Oh, it's gonna be great. Great. Kingdom Heart on 3, and maybe Final Fantasy 7 remake. Anyway, so thanks again, folks. Please like, comment, subscribe to Dayton Does Gaming. You know his Twitter, you know his YouTube. The links will be posted below. And please drink responsibly, or if you don't, do it in your own home and don't beat your wife or kid. Have a good time. You know, go out and check out the fireworks. Don't steal from anybody, because I'm wearing a Santa's hat right now and I'm watching you. You'll be put on the naughty list. So, NikoTheLegend is signing out. Bye-bye!
Dayton Does Gaming's also signing out. Bye-bye.